In our last episode, we arrived at the town of Gecko, had a telepathic conversation with a tribal wizard, were given economic data reports by an intelligent talking mole rat named The Brain, and suffered verbal abuse from a ghoul named Wooz who repeatedly beat us at a game of Tragic the Garnering. Oh, and we got a working car. It was an eventful episode. Now, we must head back to Gecko to finally fix their nuclear reactor with the part that we got from Councilmember McClure at Vault City. But before we head to the reactor, we recall that Skeeter offered to upgrade our weapons for free if we got him a 3-step plasma transformer. We can get a transformer from Jeremy in the reactor, but before he'll give us the transformer, we have to give him a part requisition form. But Harold won't just give us a part requisition form, we have to steal it. So heading to the manager's office, we explore all of his containers until we explore his desk. Inside, we find 2 clipboards, but only one is the part requisition form we need, the top one. The bottom one is a coolant report, which does have its own use, so we'll go ahead and take this for later. And if we move through a door to the west and examine the bookshelf against the wall, we find a big book of science. With the form in our hand, we can finally head east to walk through the front door to Poseidon Energy Reactor number 5. We see that the reactor is a sprawling labyrinth of connected rooms. We are in the main lobby, and here we find a receptionist. "Hello, friend," he says. "I have to let you know that if anything goes wrong, any non-ghouls like you are going to be blamed." "I'll be careful," we can say, and then we can ask him for directions. He tells us that the reactor room is through the door to the right. We follow that path all the way to the end, past a yellow security door. To access the reactor room, we'll need a yellow security key card. We can ask him, is it safe for people to be living here? And he says, well, we ghouls, see, we like the background radiation leakage here. The glowing ones really like it. None of us would feel very well without it. Background leakage, we can say? And he says, well, I wouldn't worry about it unless you plan to stay here for more than a couple of weeks. Most of the radiation that the reactor leaks goes into the coolant water, and we pump that back underground. The little bit that leaks above ground just feels good to us somehow. When we ask him how to get the key card we need to access the reactor room, he says, well, I think Jeremy has a key. The guards at the security doors have keys, as do some of the people that live in the reactor. With directions to the reactor room, we now know where to go. But we'll take our time exploring the entire Gecko power plant, room by room. We'll start by moving northwest. If we go straight through 3 doors, we find a supply and trash room. Nothing of interest here. Heading back, we can go east down the hallway. The room to the right is empty, so exploring north, we find a long room and a small room attached to it. The long room has an important ghoul inside. We'll talk to him in a minute. The small room is empty, but the room at the very end of this long room has a whole bunch of lockers. The third from the left has some boxed foods, and the first to the left has another box of cheesy poofs. Man, these ghouls do love their cheesy poofs. Heading out of this room and going through the door to the right, we find a bit of a warehouse. One of the ghouls says, talk to Jeremy. You know the rules. Another one says Jeremy takes care of all of the supply requests. Before talking with Jeremy, we can examine all of these containers. Most of them are empty. In the bookshelf to the right, we find a big book of science. The rest of these containers are empty. To find Jeremy, we have to go back into the room to the left, just south of the room with all the lockers. He's the ghoul, standing in the middle of the room. Hello there, he says. My name's Jeremy. I'm in charge of the all-powerful supply cabinet here. I keep track of all of our stored supplies. All-powerful, we can say? And he says, okay, maybe not all-powerful, but it's pretty damn important. What do you need? I need something from storage, we can say. And he says, well, if you want something from storage, you need to have a request authorization form. Do you have a request authorization form? And if we took the one from Harold's office, or if we took the one from Festus, we do. And we can say, yes, here it is. Well, this looks like it, all right. What do you need? We can say, I need a moss-covered 3-handled Gredunza. Now, that's an obscure pop cultural reference. It's a reference to the 1971 The Cat in the Hat animated musical television special.
Somebody stole my moss-covered 3-handled family Gredunza.
It's no wonder then Jeremy replies, you need a what? Well, there's a waiting list for those. Need anything else? Oh, so they actually have a moss-covered 3-handled Gredunza? Okay. Well, since he doesn't have one available, we'll instead ask for a 3-step plasma transformer. Want to know what I need it for, we can say? And he says, I don't even want to know. I think I have one right here in this cabinet. Ah, yes, here it is, he says. And we can say, well, that's not the latest model, but it'll have to do. Thanks and goodbye. And with that, we have exactly what we need to give to Skeeter for a free weapon upgrade. But we can get 2 more of these. If we have 2 part requisition forms, one from Harold and one from Festus, whom we are about to meet, we can go through this dialogue tree again with Jeremy to get a second 3-step plasma transformer. Then we can barter with Jeremy to purchase a third 3-step plasma transformer. This will allow us to get 3 free weapon upgrades from Skeeter. Heading out of Jeremy's office, we can explore the 3 final rooms in this section. We find a storage room with a locker and another yellow key card, in case we didn't get the one earlier from the main town. And moving to the room just east of this, we find a bookshelf with a blue key card inside. We don't need this now. We can't use it in the power plant, but we will be able to use it later in the game, so we'll save it for now. The room across the hall is empty. With this section explored, we can move east to explore the eastern side of the plant. Going through a door, we find a room attached here, but it's empty. So continuing west, we open a door to find 2 guards guarding a door with a yellow number 5. This must be the yellow door that the receptionist told us about. But then we remember that we looted a yellow key card from the survival gear shop in yesterday's episode. So using the yellow key card in our inventory, we can gain access. Continuing to explore, we find a number of bedrooms where the ghouls sleep. In the first bedroom to the left, upon entering the yellow door, we find a bookshelf, and inside the bookshelf, the red key card. The room just south of this one is empty, so continuing west, we can open a southern yellow door into a large computer room. The ghouls here just have random settler dialogue, so continuing west, we can head through a door into the westernmost room. Here we find a ghoul described as a particularly unkempt ghoul. This is Festus. Skeeter back in the town told us that Festus is another guy we can get a part requisition form from, in case we didn't want to take one from Harold. And he's the guy that the talking mole rat, the Brain, told us we could convince to repair the reactor, as long as we had the right part. Hello there, I'm Festus. I run the whole reactor. Without me, the whole town would be shut down. I'm a very busy man. They really overwork me here. What do you do here, we can ask? And he says, well, I supervise the atomic power plant. Really, though, I run the whole thing by myself. By yourself, we can say. Well, then what are all of those other people in the next room doing? And he says, wastrels. That's all they are. They don't really understand what needs to be done. They're just placeholders. It irks me that they think they know something about atomic power plants. Why, if it weren't for me, I run the whole thing, you see, in a supervisory capacity, all by myself. It would be impossible if I just weren't so darned good at it. It's a gift, really. You must know quite a bit about atomic power, then, we can say. And he says, know about atomic power? Well, I almost invented it. I know more about atomic power than anyone alive. If it's atomic power, I'm your man. You know, I really do run the whole thing. It's pretty tough. But I do have many years of experience. I'm all pro when it comes to running atomic power plants. You must be very good at your job, we can say. And he says most people think it's easy. They think that just anyone can run an atomic reactor, but it's not for the untrained or faint of heart. I am harnessing the power of the atom here. I am impressed, the chosen one can say. And he says it sure would be nice to have some help, but you see, no one else is qualified to do what I do. They don't even understand the basics of what I do. How could anyone hope to keep up with you, we can say? And he says, I can tell that you really understand things like this. If I weren't so busy here, I'd run Gecko. And let me tell you, I'd run it right. You'd run the town too, we can say? And he says, well, if I ran the town, there wouldn't be any of this trading with Broken Hills for uranium ore. We'd just trade them power for it instead. They could run their city using the power of the atom. Wouldn't you have to run power lines across miles and miles of hazardous desert, we can point out? And he says, well, I suppose so. Then we'd have them buy giant batteries from us. Yes, that's the beauty of it. Then they'd have to buy the batteries from us too. And that's just to start. I have other big plans like, oh, you're a politician too. The chosen one can interject. It's incredible that your talents cover such diverse fields. And he says, I'm just multifaceted. Really, I'm very good at whatever I try. Seldom is there anyone better. Of course, I just happen to prefer running an atomic power plant. But if I wanted to, I could do anything else. I can't believe that everyone at Gecko doesn't see your true worth, we can say. I'm going to go tell them right now. Goodbye. But before we go brag to the world about how amazing this Festus guy is, we can try to get some truth out of him. I understand that the reactor isn't running very well. Is that true? And he says, well, it sure uses a lot of uranium, and it leaks some. You know, I asked somebody to fix it, but no one listens to me. And we can say, well, I've heard that it's leaking radiation into the groundwater. Is that true? And he says, well, that's possible, but I don't think it would do any harm to anything. It's underground after all. I think you might be wrong, we can say. Vault City's been complaining that your atomic reactor has been tainting their water with radiation. Not possible, he says. No one would know more about it than me. They're just looking for someone to blame for their problem. We don't even draw from the same aquifer. You sound sure, we can say, but so did they. Well, they're just a bunch of amateurs when it comes to atomic power, he says. I'm the real expert here. You can take what I say to the bank, if there were any banks left, that is. Finally, we can comment on his hygiene. Why do you look and smell as though you're falling apart, we can ask. And he says, what do you mean? Oh, well, I guess I have been working pretty darn hard lately. Haven't had time to really take care of myself the way I should. Maybe the radiation just affects me a little differently. Well, we can say maybe you should consider bathing or something to take care of that funk. And he says, well, I guess I should. Whenever I bathe, though, a lot of my skin sloughs off, and all my scabs break open. And another thing, my fingernails keep tearing. Hold on, wait, I think I've heard enough, we can say. Let's back up a little. And finally, we can address the task at hand. And if we have the hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator that we got from Randall at Vault City, we find an option to say, well, I have a part that you can use to fix the reactor. And he says, you have a spare hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator on you? And the chosen one is surprised. You actually know what that is? And he says, surprised? I told you that I know all about atomic power plants. You should have listened to me. We can say, great, well, since you know what it is, you must know how to install it. Of course I do, says Festus. Why, that's just plain simple for someone of my experience and talent. I was weaned on magnetosphere regulators as a pup, you know. That's great, the chosen one can say. Could you install it for me? And he says, well, I guess I could install it. I'm certainly the only one who could install it right. Installing a hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator is pretty tricky. At this point, we could back out to try to find another way, or we can say, here's the regulator. I knew I could count on you. Okay, I'm here, but I'm still not sure that this isn't the right part, or that it's not a trap somehow. I'm much too valuable to waste. Maybe I should just let someone else do this later, much later. And to get him to install the part, we have to pass a speech check. We can say, it needs to be done now. And you're the only person that can do it right. Come on, we can say, buttering him up a bit. All of Gecko depends on you. And with that, he shuffles off to fix the reactor. A moment later, he comes back. And he says, okay, that's got it. Hey, I did it. I really am that good. And with that, we complete the quest, and we earn 4,250 experience. But this is only one way to complete the quest. Let's say our speech skill was not high enough to convince Festus to install it for us. Well, we have other options. After stealing or bartering a part requisition form from him and looting a bunch of booze from his locker, we can continue to the west. Passing through the yellow doors, we reach a room with 2 more rooms on either side to the left or the right. Both of these rooms are empty, so to continue we can use the red key card we found here in the plant to open the big doors with the red number 5. This leads us to a reactor control room, being managed by a ghoul named Hank. Hello, he says, I'm Hank. I take care of the inside of the reactor core. Not that much ever needs to be done there. Here we find a couple of options and a number of ways to fix the reactor core. We can say, hi Hank, I need to get inside the core. Heh, he says, I wouldn't advise that smoothie. You'd fry into a crisp. Me, I like the warmth, but I wouldn't recommend it for you. Quite a bit of heat and radiation in there. That's why the smoothies that built this place included a maintenance bot. A maintenance bot, we can ask? And he says, yeah, the smoothies that built this place didn't want to fry either, so they included a robot. It was designed to perform maintenance tasks by remote control from a terminal in a room to the west. That's perfect. I can use that, we can say. And he says, well, it hasn't worked too well lately. It kept overheating. We don't need to use it anyway, so we didn't bother to fix the heat shielding on it. If you can figure out the control codes and don't run it for too long, you may be able to get it to do what you want. So now the stage is set, we have to make a choice. Our first option, of course, is to sabotage the power plant, and there are 3 ways to do so. The first is to enter the reactor core room ourselves. The problem with this is that inside the room we are bombarded by radiation, and both we and our companions constantly receive damage. If, however, we can keep ourselves alive long enough to reach the big red wheel on the western side of this room, we can turn off the coolant to the reactor. However, doing so requires passing a strength check. This wheel is rusty, and we have to turn it 3 times. Each time we try to turn it, the game performs a check, and sometimes we succeed and sometimes we don't. But if we manage to turn it once, then twice, then a 3rd time, we finally see a message that says, sounds like you have closed the valve. We have turned off coolant to the reactor and it is now melting down. If we choose this option, however, when we try to retrace our steps, the ghouls of Gecko turn hostile and we have to fight our way out. The other option to destroy the plant is to trick Hank into doing it. We recall from my last episode that Harold told us that he received a report that, if acted upon, would have caused the reactor to melt down.
The other day, I get a report. On it, it says the main coolant valve should be shut down. That would have caused a meltdown. That would make the Grand Canyon look like a pig wallow.
This is none other than the coolant report that we looted from Harold's desk when we were looking for the requisition form. If we looted this coolant report and we then talk to Hank, hello, he says, nice of you to visit me again. Feels nice and toasty this close to the core. Most smoothies don't care for that. We find an option to say, Hank, I have a coolant report from Harold that you need to see. Here you go. He says, let me look this over. According to this, our coolant level is way too high. I would have thought that turning off the coolant would lead to immediate meltdown, but I guess not. I'd better go turn off the coolant right now. We do find an option to back out, or we can say, good thinking, Hank. I'd better be going. Goodbye. And with that, Hank enters the reactor core room, goes all the way around to the big wheel, and shuts it off. With that, the reactor core begins to melt down, and just like last time, all the ghouls turn hostile, and we have to fight our way out. The third option to cause the meltdown is to program the robot to do it. We see the robot on the other side of this window, and Hank told us that we can program him from this nearby terminal. Now, to get to this point, we have to go through a lot of complicated hacking and guessing, which I'll get to in a moment. But once we get through all of that, we find an option to program a task into the robot. We choose Add a Command. Then we go all the way down to the bottom of the list and choose Turn Main Coolant Valve Off. Then we execute the program. The robot activates. He goes all the way around the room and stops at the red wheel. He then gives it a spin and shuts off the coolant, starting the meltdown. And again, the ghouls turn hostile. If we destroy the plant and manage to escape with our lives, when we return to the settlement, we see that the door to the power plant is completely caved in. There's no going back. Strangely, the other ghouls in town are not hostile, and Harold doesn't comment on the fact that we destroyed his reactor. But now we can head back to Vault City to get our reward from First Citizen Lynette.
Yes? What is it?
About the Gecko power plant.
Have you resolved the situation?
The power plant's been destroyed. If I were you, I'd make sure your Brahmin grazed to the southwest from now on.
What? You destroyed the plant? The contamination, you idiot! At least those ghouls are gone. Get out of my sight.
Whoa, what about the citizenship you promised?
I've had enough of your foolishness. You are no longer permitted inside Vault City. My guards will escort you to the front gate.
And with that, we're banished from Vault City. Strangely, there is no other way to destroy the ghouls of Gecko to fulfill Lynette's request. Even if we kill all the ghouls of Gecko without destroying the plant, the quest marker doesn't advance. If we come back to Lynette, our only option is to say that we haven't dealt with the situation yet. So now we can explore the other ways to fix the power plant. We can always try to do it manually by going into the reactor core and installing it personally. But like with trying to turn off the coolant, this is hard to do without dying. The other option is to use the robot. Heading back to the terminal, we can try to learn more about this thing. Hello, welcome to RMR and RCT Station 3. RMR RCT, we can ask? And it responds, Station number 3, Reactor Maintenance and Repair Robot Control Terminal. Function, we can ask. This terminal is designed to coordinate and command a reactor maintenance and repair robot. A robot, huh, we can say? Let me see what I can find out about that. Reactor maintenance robot ready for initialization / startup sequence. Functional access code. Action, we can ask. This terminal is used to input command data for the robotic maintenance and repair unit assigned to Poseidon Oil Reactor number 5. This terminal also allows access to PoseidoNet. PoseidoNet? I wonder what that could mean. From here, we can choose Initiate General Maintenance Sequence. This service procedure is no longer in memory. Load current service procedure. We can select yes. Then it says searching Service Procedure Update, not available locally. So, we can download a service procedure update. Note, however, that we only find an option to download the update if we have a science skill of 50 or above. Uplink with Central PoseidoNet initiated. Enter primary security access code sequence 70Y644, 008Z21, 9X7299, A46123. We now have to figure out the correct order to punch in these access codes to gain access to PoseidoNet. We figured this out through trial and error, but the correct sequence is 9X7299, then 70Y644, and finally 008Z21. Security access code sequence accepted. Welcome to PoseidoNet. From here, we can try to download the maintenance robot routines, but when we do, we get the message, searching maintenance robot routines not found. So we've reached a dead end. PoseidoNet doesn't have what we need to program the robot. We'll have to backtrack to find another option. But while we're logged into PoseidoNet, we find an option to list other stations. We have no idea what this could be. What kind of stations? We can select it out of curiosity. Searching comlinks, searching. Iron Mountain, offline. NORAD, offline. SAC, offline. Searching PoseidoNet. More? Active PoseidoNet stations. Atomic Power Plant number 5. Navarro Refinery. Control Station, Enclave. Enclave Vault Research Control. Access denied. Here, the Chosen One can ponder. Everything is shut down except for the Enclave Vault Research Control? I wonder what that is.
Enclave here. Why isn't your video feed working?
Oh, we're working on the visual link right now. I just wanted to test it.
Well, your unit still doesn't appear to be operational, pal. Who is this?
Please repeat. Over.
Try the gain.
Gain? What am I supposed to gain? I keep pretty active. I don't think I can gain anything.
That didn't make a damn bit of difference. I'm still not getting a damn thing. Who are you?
The video feed's not working? Well, that's not unusual, is it? Nothing works right anymore.
Ain't it the truth? Just don't let anyone who's got the president's ear hear that. You'll be making cattle runs to New Reno till the end of time, pal.
Only got 2 legs. I'd be pretty tired by the time I got there.
Oh, very funny. But you'd have a great place to recover from your run. At least from what I hear.
So, you mentioned the president?
Yeah, you know how unhappy he gets when people complain. He takes it personal, like it's a loyalty thing. Maybe that just goes with being the president of the United States, or what's left of him.
Wait, the president of the United States?
The president of the United fucking States of America. Who do you think I was talking about? Who is it? What? I should kick your fucking ass. Who is this?
So, you're not in New Reno then?
This is Enclave Maincom. But you should know that. Who are you?
We have a couple of sarcastic options, all of which get the same response. We can say, oh, I'm just, hey, you ever notice that cooked gecko tastes kind of like Brahmin butt? Or we can rehash a famous quote that we should be very familiar with. We're all fine here. How are you?
but everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, you wise guy, huh? Look, I'm tracing you right now, pal. We'll see how smart you feel with internal security all over your freaking ass, dickhead.
From here on out, he has the same response for all of these options. You're putting a trace on me? Well, I'm putting a trace on you too, pal.
A few more moments and I'll have your sorry ass in a sling. Hey, wait a minute. This can't be right. I've got you somewhere on the mainland.
Oh, that can't be right. I'm at the comm desk right across the hall from you. Made you look. What a rube.
I've got you at Poseidon Oil, reactor number 5. Well, why don't you just sit tight and I'll order up a little celebration for you, including fireworks.
I'm the chosen one. You just better make sure you say that with a smile.
Well, whoever you are, I just dispatched a Verdi assault team to your location. Have a nice day.
And what are they gonna do?
Usually they just go in shooting. They let someone else sift through the ashes to figure out what was going on.
Oh, now you've made me all scared. I need to change my undies.
Yeah, goodbye. Next news on you will be when I read the after-action report.
Despite this humorous exchange, nothing happens. I went outside, no vertibirds, no Enclave, nothing. Empty threats from this guy on the other end of the terminal. If we go back to try to get him up on PoseidoNet again, we get a message, accessing Enclave station, access denied. Maybe I should try again? Accessing again, access denied. Maybe I should try again. Accessing yet again, persistent little cuss, aren't you? Enclave station access denied. Well, maybe I should try again. Accessing yet again? Aren't you getting tired of this? Enclave station access denied. Maybe I should try again. Accessing yet again. Don't you have anything better to do with your time? Enclave station access denied. Maybe I should try again? That's it. I've had enough of the constant prodding. If you just try one more time, you're going to regret it. Maybe I should try again. Don't say I didn't warn you. Just as we read this, we feel a surge of electricity arcing through our fingers from the keyboard. Despite this, we don't actually take damage, and we can't repeat this again. Well, that was a nice detour, but that didn't solve our problem with the robot. We've already used the robot to destroy the reactor. Now we need to see if we can use this robot to fix the reactor. To do so, we need to input the correct access codes. The first access code is A1546761. The secondary access code is 5B576005. And the tertiary access code is 35C76863. Access code accepted. Unit warming up. Unit ready for service. Service procedure. We can initiate a repair sequence. Repair service initiated. Searching. Hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator required. Preparing to move to main coolant valve for part replacement. Place part replacement in transfer tray beneath terminal. If we got the hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator from Vault City, the chosen one can say, oh, I guess it means this thing. And we place it in the tray. Hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator accepted. Scanning. Part within nominal QA constraints. Transfer to repair unit completed. Proceed. We can choose yes. RM and RR unit rollout initiated. Checking drive systems, okay. Checking manipulator arm, okay. Checking internal stabilizer, okay. Logic circuits, fail. Uh-oh. The logic circuits failed. I wonder what that means. Job task localization recognition inoperative. Unit not capable of recognizing movement locations at extended distances. Recommended. Move unit to intermediary locations as waypoints to final job task location. I wonder what happens if I don't enter the jobs in the right order, ponders the chosen one, and the robot responds. Manual direction. The RM and RR unit must be directed manually to its target destination. The unit will follow the movement commands that you give it, but if its way is blocked, or the unit takes excess damage, it will automatically return to its bay. When ready, we need to write a program for the robot to navigate it to the red wheel. We start by adding a command, and we find a number of options here. We can correctly plot a journey for the robot by going into the reactor core room ourselves first and discovering the names of each of the pieces of machinery that we pass on the way to the red wheel. But that's the hard way. The names of each of these waypoints gives us a clue as to their correct order. Each option has a very familiar name in it: uranium, plutonium, Saturn class, Neptunium, Jupiter wave compiler. Each of these options has a name of one of the planets of our solar system. The correct order is to choose each option in order of the planets from the edge of the solar system as they get closer to Earth. So we'll start by amplifying the plutonium gamma shield. We enter that as program step number 1. To continue writing our program, we have to go back to the main menu, add a new command, and this time we'll choose to deharmonize the Neptunium impeller. Pluto, then Neptune. The next step is to calibrate the uranium rod driver, then to set voltage on the Saturn-class capacitor, then to test the Jupiter wave compiler. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. I suppose this means that Pluto is still a planet in the Fallout universe. If we choose these options in the correct order, we then find an option to either turn the main coolant valve off, which we did previously, or to install the hydroelectric magnetosphere regulator. When ready, we can end program and then execute the program. The robot moves out again, and like last time, we navigate him correctly around the room. But instead of turning off the coolant, it installs the missing piece. The robot has repaired the power plant. We gain 4,500 experience. Thanks for helping us out, says Hank. Heading back to Festus, he says, the reactor's running pretty good now, all right. Could still do with a tiny bit of tune-up maybe, but I'd say it's a pretty good job all the same. More work, we can ask? What do you mean? And he says, I mean that the reactor's running now, but it sure could run better. I mean better by a long country mile if we just had a smidge more data. Now, if you could get the optimization data, we'd be cooking with gas. Well, you know what I mean. Optimization data, we can ask? Where would I get that? Well, you could probably get the information from the Vault City central computer. Well, let me see what I can do, we can say. And he says, I bet a clever one like you could just sneak in there and use a holodisk with the reactor performance information on the central computer. Then sneak the disk right back here. That'd do it. I'd do it myself, but I'm just too valuable here to leave, even for a moment. Well, I hate to leave a job only half done, the Chosen One can say. And Festus says, that's the spirit. I was a-hoping you'd say that. Great. Just use this disk here on Vault City's central computer and then get it right back here. We'll use less uranium, the core won't leak so bad, and this Vault City won't have any reason to destroy Gecko. I sure don't want to see Gecko destroyed, the Chosen One can say. I'll do it. With that, he gives us a holodisk we need to download the reactor optimization data from the Vault City main computer. After repairing the power plant, we can head out to check in with Harold.
Mighty kind of you helping us out with the atomic power plant. We're in your debt. Now, what can this cranky old carcass do for you?
How you doing now?
Well, we're doing better now you fixed our reactor. I never thought anybody'd get those idiots in Vault City to help us out.
Well, I didn't want to see Vault City destroy your town. Besides, it was in their best interest to fix your power plant as well.
Their best interest? What do you mean?
Well, according to some economic data I got a hold of, Vault City is much better off if they help you repair your power plant.
Economic data? You didn't give them that information that Gordon keeps flapping his yap about, did you?
Yes I did. Why?
Why? Now Vault City knows just how much we need uranium ore from Broken Hills. They could cut off them shipments and we'd be finished.
Oh, it can't be as bad as all that. They seem like reasonable people to me.
Reasonable? Well, I'm sure people said the master was reasonable too. What a bonehead. Get the hell out, now!
Despite his protestation here, sharing the economic data with McClure has no negative impact on the game. In fact, Gecko gets a better ending if we share that information with McClure. However, that ending is inaccessible due to a game bug. So his reaction here is very strange. Alternatively, we can choose not to tell him that we gave the economic data to McClure.
Mighty kind of you. Not many smooth skins would do that for a town full of ghouls. Kinda reminds me of a smoothie I knew way back when.
Another smoothie? What do you mean?
Another smooth skin. Had a lot of respect for that one.
Who was that?
Well, I could probably remember if I wasn't dead. I'd never get tired of that joke.
Maybe you don't.
Yeah, to be honest, can't remember the name. But they wore a funny suit, kind of like the one you're wearing.
I'm wearing the vault suit that my ancestor wore. It's a totem of my holy quest.
That's so. Well. That explains a thing or two. I wondered why you looked familiar. I'm not losing the last couple of marbles I got left.
We really look alike?
There is a resemblance, near as I can remember anyways. You know, your ancestor saved the whole darn lot of us.
The Vault Dweller saved all of the ghouls?
Jumping to conclusions, youngster. That's gonna get your ass shot off someday. All of us saved every two-legged shuffler on the dang planet.
I didn't realize that.
Well, now you do. And what happened next? For a thank you, the damn high and mighty Vaulties booted the Vault Dweller out. I always wondered what happened after that.
I can tell you what happened.
Well, I'd sure like to hear that.
The legend of the Vault Dweller starts with the vault casting him out into the dry wastes. We then go on to tell Harold the story of our ancestor. And so that's why I'm looking for Vault 13 now.
Well, thanks for telling. I sure was curious all these years. You got your work cut out for you. You know...
Know what?
Well, I've been saving these for a rainy day, but it sounds like you're gonna need them more than I ever will. Here, take these.
Thank you, Harold. And with that, he gives us 3 super stim packs. Standing next to Harold is a ghoul who has a character model unlike all others in the town. The game describes him as an especially short, older ghoul. Hello there, he says. My name's Lenny. How can I help you? Oh, it looks like Lenny has a bit of a stutter. What do you do here, we can ask? And he says, well, I help Harold mostly. When people get hurt, I help them too. Help Harold do what, we can ask? And he says, I help Harold administer the town. There's always more paperwork to do. You can heal people, we can ask? Well, before the war, I was a doctor, he says. Before the war? But that must have been almost 160 years ago, we can say. And he says that's true, but radiation seems to have given us ghouls a longer lifespan. Of course, it took almost everything else away. Took things away, we can say. And he says, well, yes, we look like friggin' freaks. We don't have any skin, for Christ's sakes. Well, we can say, I guess you have seen better days. You could say that, he says. I'd trade all those years to be a normal person again. Well, not much hope of that, I suppose we can say. And he says, if those fools in Vault City would share their medical technology, I'm sure we could cleanse the excess radiation and heal ourselves. They won't help you, we can say. And he says, you've been to Vault City? Then you tell me what you think the chances of getting help from those bigots is. Might as well watch a paper dog chase an asbestos cat through hell. Well, that's an interesting analogy. As a doctor, we can use him to heal ourselves, and then we can ask him, hey Lenny, have you ever heard of something called a Garden of Eden creation kit? A Garden of Eden creation kit? I heard that Vault City had one of those. That's the only one I've ever heard of, though. Well, we can say my ancestor, the Vault Dweller, said that Vault 13 owes us one. I need to find it. Well, I didn't actually meet the Vault Dweller, but I saw them once, says Lenny. You saw the Vault Dweller? Where? It was a long time ago, says Lenny, in a place called Necropolis. A lot of us ghouls lived there. One day I saw someone running through the city. Running, we can say? And he says, yes, running. You see, we ghouls can't run too much anymore, so I knew it was an outsider when I saw them. They ran by so close I could have touched them. I wish that I had joined the Vault Dweller. You wanted to join my grandsire, we can ask? And he says, yes, I had a chance of a lifetime, and I blew it. What do you mean, we can say? And he says, later I heard that the Vault Dweller had fixed our water system. The Vault Dweller saved us. All of us. Do you understand? It didn't matter that we were ghouls. For once, it didn't matter. We were people again. Worth saving. My ancestor was the founder of our tribe, we can say. That memory is revered amongst my people. Later, says Lenny, I heard that the Vault Dweller destroyed the source of the mutant army. The Vault Dweller saved all of us, human and ghoul alike. I could have been a part of that, but I lacked the courage. I've never forgiven myself. I'm following in my ancestors' footsteps, we can say. Would you like another chance? Will you join me? And he says, I'm happier than a bull Brahmin in a pasture full of cows. I'd be honored to join you. I may be old and can't move too darn fast, leastways not for too long, but I can sure patch you up when you need it. I'm glad you can join me, we can say. I'm sure your healing skills will come in handy. And with that, Lenny joins our party. He's not the best companion, but he is a unique one. He has a high doctor skill, between 85 and 125% depending on his level. We can use him in much the same way that we use Vic. To use his doctor skill, we simply use our own doctor skill. Then, if his doctor skill is higher than ours, he'll run to whomever we're trying to heal and use his doctor skill instead. In combat, he's okay. As a humanoid, he is at least able to use different types of armor, including power armor, and he's got a decent amount of hit points, between 129 and 206, making him a great damage sponge. He can use many pistols in the game, including the 223 pistol and a Gauss pistol. But as he said in his recruitment dialogue, he is slow and lumbering. It can often take him a while to catch up with the rest of the party. And being a ghoul, having him in our party can make things complicated. For example, if we go to Vault City, the guards refuse to allow us through the gate with Lenny in our party. That mutant had better step away from the gate. Now, they say, this is easy to bypass. We simply ask Lenny to wait here. Then we can open the gate. Then once the gate is open, we can quickly ask Lenny to follow us again, and we can race inside Vault City. But once inside, we have to be careful whom we talk to. For example, if at any time with Lenny in our party, we try to talk with First Citizen Lynette.
What is this creature you have with you? Such things are not permitted inside Vault City. Guards, escort these intruders to the front gate at once.
You don't like my friend, huh? That's too bad, because he likes you for dinner. And that's one of the many ways we can turn everyone in Vault City hostile. So if we want to travel with Lenny, in situations like this, we need to have him wait behind. Back at Gecko, before we leave, we can head to Skeeter to give him the 3-step plasma transformer that we got from Jeremy. Heading to Skeeter in his shop, he says, "Great, you've got my plasma regulator. Thanks. Now I owe you some free work. What did you want me to work on? I'll tell you how much it would have cost, but this one's already paid for." There are 6 weapons in the game that Skeeter can upgrade. The Cattle Prod, the Desert Eagle 44, the 44 Magnum Revolver, the Hunting Rifle, the Assault Rifle, or the FNFAL. He can upgrade the Cattle Prod into a Super Cattle Prod. This increases the Cattle Prod's damage to between 20 and 32. He can upgrade the Desert Eagle into the Desert Eagle with an expanded magazine. This increases the Desert Eagle's ammo capacity from 8 to 20. He can upgrade the 44 Magnum to the 44 Magnum Speed Load. This decreases the AP cost for reloading a weapon during combat. This particular weapon is the only one in the game that only costs 1 AP to reload. All others cost 2. And this upgrade also increases the range of the weapon to 20 hexes. He can upgrade the Hunting Rifle to a Scoped Hunting Rifle. This increases the hunting rifle's accuracy and range. However, the scope makes it harder for the weapon to hit targets that are up close. He can upgrade an assault rifle to the Assault Rifle Expanded Magazine, which increases the ammo capacity of the weapon from 24 to 100 rounds. And finally, he can upgrade the FNFAL to an FNFAL Night Sight. This removes the chance to hit penalty that we normally get when trying to aim at enemies in the dark. It also makes it a wonderful weapon to use inside caves. When done with Skeeter, we can head down to the survival and gear locker to check in with Percy Crump. By gosh and by golly, I just sure can't thank you enough for getting my friend back. Gee Willikers, I've got to give you something for your troubles. He is referring to the fact that we rescued his friend Woody from the den in our last episode. I was glad to help you out, we can say. And he says, this big old chest of anti-radiation medicine sure ain't doing me no good. Just about 100-something years too late for me to use it. Here you go. I'm finding that friends is worth more and more every year. I was glad to help you and Woody, we can say. Thanks for the meds. And with that, he gives us 4 Radaway and 3 Rad-X. A little underwhelming, considering his claims, but we'll take it. And finally, we can head underground to check in with the brain. He says, I smell the distinctive aroma of cheesy poofs on you. You don't happen to have some spare, do you? I just love cheesy poofs. Okay, sure, we can say, I could spare some cheesy poofs. And he says, crunch, munch, crunch. I love cheesy poofs.
I love cheesy poofs, you love cheesy poofs. If we didn't eat cheesy poofs, we'd be lame.
They're so, cheesy. For that, you get to be a member of my special cult, and you can help me take over the world.
Gee, Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Are you ready to accept renewal and wear my Ankh talisman? He then offers us another Ankh talisman, which we can either accept or reject. Then we can talk about the reactor data disk that we got from Festus. How do we use the data disk, we can ask? And he says, you have to use the reactor data disk on Vault City's central computer. You can either sneak in and use it, or if you have the economic data disk, you can go to McClure. Economic data disk, we can say. And he says, well, the reactor's running, but not very efficiently. We need to use Vault City's central computer to analyze our reactor's output report. And the chosen one can respond, Vault City's central computer. I'm sure that open-minded people like that would be happy to help a giant mutated rat in a city full of ghouls. And he says, why don't you talk to that old windbag, that stinking sack Festus in the power plant, and see if he can dredge some useful information out of his rotting skull. He may know of a means of optimizing the power plant. I'll let our comrades here in Gecko know of your mission. That sounds like a great idea. We can say goodbye. All right, well, we've already talked with Festus about optimizing the power plant, and we have his holotape. The brain here just must not have known that. Now, we need to head back to Vault City to tell McClure that we repaired the power plant and finally get our citizenship. I repaired Gecko's plant. And he says, excellent. I was worried that the radiation buildup might force us to relocate. You are to be commended on a job well done. Here's your citizenship papers. If you ever need anything, come see me. Vault City prevails, Counselor, we can say. And with that, we are officially a citizen. But we're not done with McClure yet. We still need to talk with him about optimizing the Gecko reactor. Now that we have the holodisk from Festus, we find an option to say, I have a reactor data disk here from Gecko. According to the technician at the power plant, the Vault City computer can optimize the reactor disk and make the plant run more smoothly. Very well, citizen, says Council Member McClure. You have my permission to use the Vault computer and optimize the reactor disk. You can find it on the 3rd level of the Vault, near the operations room. Excellent, we say. Thank you, Counselor. I'll go do that. And with our newfound citizenship, we can go rub it into First Citizen Lynette.
Yes? What is it?
About the Gecko power plant.
Have you resolved the situation?
I took care of Gecko's power plant. You shouldn't have any more trouble with it leaking radiation.
So, you disabled their plant?
No, I repaired it. Counselor McClure gave me the part I needed, and that was enough to get the plant running properly.
What? He did? I suppose he granted you citizenship also. Fixing Gecko's plant won't solve anything. Those creatures, they cannot be trusted. What happens when their plant starts leaking again?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe help them fix it?
You had better watch your step in this city, citizen. I'll be watching you. One misstep and you'll be exiled.
So, I'll just get McClure to get my citizenship back. He seems like real first citizen material.
Do not toy with me, or I will make certain you never walk Vault City streets again.
You watch yourself, first citizen. Goodbye. At last, we are finally citizens of Vault City, and we can now, finally, explore the vault. But we're out of time. We'll explore Vault 8, the vault from which Vault City was born, in my next episode. I publish new videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you feel like you're still missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.